lasses, fa la 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 la, la la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. I heard that song most of my life with like the Christmas thing in mind, and so the Yuletide treasure I always just assumed were Christmas gifts. But now I think, does anyone know what is there a thing about Yuletide and treasure? We have to look into that. It's still Christmas? It's just, okay, well, I was feeling like an Indiana Jones moment, like we missed something. Dan Brown, Da Vinci Code. Good morning. Happy solstice-ish. Yeah. I am Reverend Ron Phares. My pronouns are he, him, and we are All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, rooted in a community of love. I mean, look around. Rooted in a community of love, the mission of All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church is to cultivate compassion, foster spiritual connection, and enact transformative justice to heal ourselves and the world. So last night was solstice, the astronomical solstice, and we will be celebrating that along with Christmas Eve this coming Tuesday evening. That will be a reverent event. I will not be wearing an elven sweater for that occasion. There we will hope to court the holy with the mind of paying it forward and taking some of it home with us. That will not be what we do today. Not exactly. Some holiness may stow away in our liturgy, but we thought it might be good at this time of year to indulge in some seasons feelings based in story and song. So I've asked our service leaders and our Bone Story Collective storytellers to regale you with some holiday tales. Now, some will be familiar but told from a different perspective, and some will be very personal. So this is sort of a semi-secular version of the songs and carols format used in a lot of churches during Christmas time. So open your ears and warm up your voices as All Souls prepares you for the holiday home stretch. Are you ready? For today, not for Christmas, just for today. I presume nothing. Well, our chalice is lit, so I invite you now to join me as we craft a moment to come into full presence with each other in this hour, in this place. I invite you to reflect on our purpose of gathering together this day and on all the grace that saturates our lives. Let's start with a deep breath. We give thanks to the grace that weaves our world. We give thanks to our ancestors and the ancestors of this land and all the beings that make and are made by this land. We bid welcome and thanks to all those co-creating this spiritual vessel, those present with and within us, including the sensed and unsensed, and all those who will come after us. May our time here be rooted in love and expressed in our mission. May it yield something nourishing and beneficial and connective. This is our collective intent for our time together. We ask what grace is open to influence, to hear our prayer as the hope of all here gathered. I'd like you to indulge with me one further meditation. We've done the Ha-Ha-Yan Oma before. This is a holiday version of that called the Ho-Ho-Om. So it's going to be a hard turn going from ho-ho to om, but we need to ho-ho, Santa ho-ho, ho-ho-ho, ho-ho-ho, okay? And then om with all of your heart so that it vibrates in your sternum and your skull, maybe your eye sockets, okay? So first time we'll practice it. We'll just say that it's a practice, and then we'll do it for realsies the second time, all right? So ho-ho-ho-om. Okay, are you ready? Maybe take a breath after the third ho. Okay. Ho, ho, ho. Oh. All right. That was good. One more time. I don't want to ruin it, but we're going to do it one more time. Okay, ready? Ho, ho, ho.
I am going to actually tell you a story. This is based on a book by Rose Empey and Sue Porter called A Letter to Santa Claus. So the book was a little too long, so I'm just going to kind of tell you the story. This was one of my favorite books when I was a kid, actually. So who here has written a letter to Santa Claus? Ever? Yeah. You written a letter to Santa Claus? Yeah. It's fun to write a letter to Santa Claus, yeah. So this story is about a little girl named Charlotte, and she wrote a letter to Santa Claus. And she lived in a small community. There were not any other kids there for her to play with except her brother, who was still a baby. Yeah. All right. And so she would spend a lot of her time alone, playing dress-up, drawing, writing, and she also loved to play outside with her animal friends. She loved animals. Who here loves animals? Yeah, what's your favorite animal? Anybody have you want to share a favorite animal?
Horses.
Horses, that's awesome. You want to share a favorite animal?
Cheetahs.
Cheetahs, oh my goodness.
Tigers.
Tigers, wow, cheetahs, foxes, tigers, lots of animals here, yeah. All right, so she loved to play outside with her animal friends. And she also loved to write, but she was still learning how to read and spell, so she would often copy things that she saw written elsewhere, like she would copy her mom's grocery list. So one day, Charlotte decided to write a letter to Santa Claus, and her mom helped her spell the words. She told Santa where she would be for Christmas, and she also added some gifts for her baby brother since he couldn't write yet. She had her Christmas list on a separate sheet of paper along with her letter. So Charlotte's table that she wrote on was kind of messy. Does anyone else have a messy table sometimes? I do sometimes, yeah. Yeah, her table was kind of messy, so when she put her letter down, some other papers fell onto it, and some things fell on the floor. And later, when her dad helped her mail the letter, she put it in an envelope. She wasn't totally sure which paper was her Christmas list. But she picked up one that she thought was it, and she put it in with her letter to Santa Claus, and her dad helped her mail the letter by sending it up the chimney. So Meanwhile, Charlotte and her family were getting ready for Christmas. She had family come to visit. The snow began to fall outside. It was a lot of snow, and it was very cold. And Charlotte started to worry about her animal friends outside in the cold. And she couldn't stop thinking about whether they had enough to eat. So on Christmas Eve, she asked her family for food to give the animals, but everyone kept telling her they were busy and she should ask later. So that night, she went to bed. She was wondering what Santa might bring her, but also she was very worried about her animal friends outside. So on Christmas morning, Charlotte woke up. It was a beautiful snowy day, and Santa Claus had thought that her Christmas list was a little strange, because he thought it looked more like a grocery list than a kid's Christmas list. But he still did his best to fulfill her wishes. So when she got to her stocking, she was a little surprised at first, because she did not get the toys and books she had expected, but instead, she got carrots and fish, nuts, milk, and a hot water bottle. And then she realized that Santa had brought her exactly what she needed to take care of her animal friends. It was as if he read her mind. So Charlotte bundled up and took the gifts outside to share them with the animals. So thanks to Santa and Charlotte's mistake, everyone had a wonderful Christmas. All right. All right, thank you. You can go sit with your families again.
Dad's First Christmas. That title is new to me. In a multi-authored book called The Bible, the story begins in this way. Luke 1, an angel appears to Mary. God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee, to a virgin. She was engaged to marry a man named Joseph from the family of David. Her name was Mary. The angel came to her and said, "Greetings. The Lord has blessed you and is with you." But Mary was very startled by what the angel said and wondered what this greeting might mean. The angel said to her, "Don't be afraid, Mary. God has shown you his grace. Listen, you will become pregnant and give birth to a son. You will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him a throne, and his kingdom will never end." Mary said to the angel, "How will this happen since I'm a virgin?" The angel said to Mary, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will cover you. For this reason, the baby will be holy and will be called the Son of God." Mary said, "I am the servant of the Lord. Let this happen to me as you say." And the angel went away. Now, I wasn't there, and you probably weren't either, but we can imagine, what would Mary have said to her betrothed, to Joseph? "Joseph, I'm with child." No, wait, she probably would have started with the angel coming to her and telling her that she was blessed and would soon bear a child, conceived not in the typical way, but immaculately by God. We cannot know how this landed for Joseph. But again, we can imagine. Perhaps, as some say, Joseph knew that he and Mary actually had, before marriage and conceived the child. Perhaps he was relieved God would take the credit or blame for the too soon arrival. Or perhaps the angel also came to Joseph and delivered the message that the conception was divine. Or maybe Joseph was close by and heard the whole thing and found it true. Perhaps they had had neither relations, nor was he sure Mary had been visited by the angel, but he resolved to trust Mary because he loved and respected her and believed, or wanted to, and elected to live with that belief. Perhaps he felt some direction from his own heart. We cannot know the answer to these many questions, and perhaps because we cannot know, we can marvel at what we think we do know, that Joseph married the pregnant Mary, and that he did so in spite of the many people who may have wanted to stone her to death for her presumed adultery. Now, some do point to the limits of his commitment. Joseph was willing to be a father to Jesus, but not willing to challenge the temple fathers in their view of Jesus as an outcast because his birth father was unknown. And indeed, Jesus was viewed as an outcast, not capable of being counted in the minyan, therefore not privileged to be raised and educated as a Jewish male child. But we do know this, or we think we do, that Joseph served as a social and legal father of the child that would become known as a Messiah, as a Christ for many. He showed up. He offered the support underpinned by no small degree of courage to defy the expectations of his entire community and take Mary as his wife. And perhaps Joseph was part of supplying just enough acceptance and support, love, we might say, that allowed an extraordinary child, still considered illegitimate and marginalized by many, to hear and to trust his own voice, his own heart, and to listen through veils and mysteries for truth, for light, for love. Now, we are Unitarian Universalists, and Christmas approaches. We are a people who admit and even celebrate and sanctify when we don't know answers to so many questions, answers that might unlock mysteries. We practice holding sacred, small acts of courage and love, like showing up for an unplanned pregnancy or a child without support, even by a person who might not have shown absolute courage or righteousness. We celebrate that sometimes our most important commitments, our families, those we stand by, are chosen commitments. In other words, we celebrate love where we find it.
As you know, our board last spring approved the practice of splitting our offering plate every Sunday. And in keeping with our mission, we are pleased to be able to partner with organizations whose values dovetail with our own. And this month, we are sharing the collection plate with the Accompaniment and Sanctuary Coalition of Colorado Springs. The Accompaniment and Sanctuary Coalition seeks to make the Pikes Peak region a safer place for immigrants by standing with and protecting immigrants facing obstacles in everyday life. This includes housing support, finances, healthcare, well-being, and apprehension deportation prevention. All Souls is a designated sanctuary church. Our plate sharing will be directed to this effort, and this is sponsored by the immigration team of our church. If you wish to make an online donation, be sure to select Share the Plate from the drop-down menu. If you're texting, please indicate the dollar amount plus share. For example, $50 share. If your plate donation is a pledge payment, just write pledge on the donation envelope or the memo line on your check, and we'll apply your donation toward your pledge instead of the share. The offering will now be gratefully received, and thank you in advance for your generosity.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. And by the light of that same star, 3 magi came from country far to seek a king was their intent, and to follow a star wherever it went. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
Is this working? Okay. Didn't somebody say earlier their favorite animal was a horse? You're going to like this story then, I hope. It's called A Winter's Gift, and that might be hard to picture on a summer's day like this. It was December 24th, and there had been a terrible blizzard north of the small town. Everything was calm now and covered in white. When the old man awoke that morning, his bones ached more than usual, which probably meant more snow was on its way. He headed outside to chop the firewood. The old man lived on a small farm nestled in the woods at the edge of town. As he walked through the snow, he saw cardinals darting in and out of the trees, chickadees sitting on the woodpile, and deer tracks everywhere. The snow glistened all around him. As the old man worked, he began to daydream of the Christmases that had come before. Every year on this very day, the old man and his wife went into the woods to find the perfect Christmas tree. This usually took a while, but eventually they would find a tree that they were sure was the prettiest ever. Then they would bring the tree back to the house and begin decorating. He would put on the lights while she made hot tea and sandwiches. Then together they would hang the ornaments. Finally, when the tree was just right, his wife would take out a wooden box that held a beautiful star. The star is the most important part of the tree, she would always say. It's a symbol of hope, and no matter how bad things get, you should always have hope. But the old man didn't have hope anymore. He had lost his wife in the spring, and he was alone. This year, there would be no Christmas tree and no Christmas star. The old man finished stacking the wood and went inside to fix his dinner. Not far away from the old man's house, a mare wandered alone through the woods. During the blizzard, she had become separated from her herd of wild horses. The swirling snow and blowing wind were so strong she had fallen behind and gotten lost. After the storm was over, she wandered the woods, trying to find her herd. She had never been alone before and was very frightened. But all she could do was keep walking. Now, as this day ended and it grew dark, new snow started to fall. In the distance, the mare could hear wolves howling. She needed to find a safe place for the night. The wind whistled and huge snowflakes swirled around her. She was growing weary and so cold as she struggled through the deep snow. The sound of howling seemed closer. Exhausted, the mare couldn't go any further. She came to a clearing in the woods and then collapsed into the snow, letting out a small nicker. From his kitchen, the old man thought he heard something outside. He put on his coat and boots, grabbed a lantern, and headed out the door. He walked behind the barn near the woods, but he didn't see anything. Just as he was about to turn back, he saw the shape in the snow and heard a soft whinny. Using his scarf as a rope, the old man gently coaxed the mare to her feet. He led her into the barn. The barn had not been used in years, but it was still in good shape, and it would keep her warm and safe. The old man ran to his house and brought back blankets and carrots for the mare. He gave her water and dried her off. He made her as comfortable as he could. The barn felt warm and cozy, and soon the old man drifted off to sleep. It was morning when he finally awoke. For a minute, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered, and he looked over to the mare. Snuggled against her side was a newborn foal. The foal struggled to its feet and looked up at the old man. He could not believe his eyes. There, in the center of the little foal's forehead, was a perfect white star. The mare gently nuzzled her foal. The old man smiled and realized he had been given a special gift. And for the first time in a long while, he looked forward to tomorrow.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth's her dark as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago, Christ, O homeless stranger, so the gospel say, told in a manger and a bed of hay. In the bleak midwinter, stable place sufficed. Mary and her baby, Jesus Christ. Once more, child and mother weave their magic spell, touching hearts with wonder, words can never tell. In the bleak midwinter,
This story comes from Lakota, Haida, and other native peoples. It's available in many forms publicly, and to the best of our knowledge, there are no restrictions on sharing it. It's inevitable that as I retell this morning, my own heritage and cultures get introduced into the mix. I intend no exploitation and instead hope for benefit for all of us. And we acknowledge more than one debt to the original sources. So we told this story about a year ago, so some of this is going to be familiar to some of us, but we're going to do a hand gesture, and I want to practice it real quick. It's a hands, actually it's a whole body gesture, so you get to move and say something at the same time. It looks like this. I'm going to say, for all. Okay? For all. Right, and one more time, 1, 2, 3. For all. Good, okay, thank you. So, as everybody knows, Raven is a trickster, sometimes a taker, sometimes a helper, sometimes not. This is a story of how Raven brought light into this world. In ancient times, Raven flew in a world of darkness. Raven landed in a world of darkness as well, because there was no light. There was never light. There was no sun, no moon, no stars, nothing that gave light. Men, women, and all who lived in the dark and cold. Raven was black, and he was of the darkness. A time came when Raven was flying and saw a dim, dull light a long, long ways away. Seeing it, he began to fly, and he flew a long, long time before he got to the light. Eventually, he came to a huge teepee. It was big, maybe bigger than a tall tree. He flew all around it, trying to understand the light. Finally, he flew up, 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 and above, and he could look down into the smoke hole from there. And inside, he saw a young woman and an older man, an old man. And they were talking, and they looked like they were probably related. He landed so he could look in and listen and hear them speak. And when he landed, he saw that the light that he had seen from so far away was coming from leather pouches hung all around on the inside walls of the teepee. The young woman was saying, "Grandfather, the light is wonderful. We should share it with everybody." And her grandfather was saying, "No, it is ours, and we will keep it for ourselves." Raven listened to them for a while, and then he took off and flew around to think for a while. And then finally he came back and he flew in through the door of the teepee. When he returned, the woman was cooking. She was cooking a thick soup, or maybe it was a stew. He watched her cooking, and he thought his thoughts. Raven knew a few things. He knew that he had magic. He had the magic to change and transform himself. He knew the woman had a good heart. Her heart wanted to share and wanted good for more than just herself, for more than just her family. She wanted good things for all. Raven decided, not yet. Raven decided that maybe he had a good heart too, and decided that maybe with his little bit of magic and her good heart, maybe they could do a small magic that would make a big difference in the world. So he flew up, up, and out the smoke hole of the teepee, and then he turned to fly back down, and as he flew back through the smoke hole, he turned himself into a glowing cloud filled with sparkling dust. And that cloud settled down into the soup, or stew. And the young woman ladled up the soup into a bowl, and she served it to her grandfather. He ate the soup, and the soup settled into his heart. And for the first time, he started to have warm feelings in his heart. Good soup, he said. He looked at the soup and saw for the first time that it was glowing with little specks of light. And in his heart, he decided it would be good to share it. So he took the soup, he went outside, and he threw it into the sky, and he said, "For all." And the sky lit up with stars. And there was light for the first time in the world. And the old man looked at the sky. It's not enough. So he shuffled back inside and took one of his pouches that was full of light, and he brought it outside, and he opened it up, and he threw the contents into the sky, and he said, "For all." And the sky lit up much brighter. It was the moon. He looked at the moon, and he nodded. Not enough. He went back inside, and he got his best and his brightest pouch full of light. And he opened it, and he threw it into the sky. For all! And it was the sun. He looked up, and he squinted, and his face was warm, and his heart was warm. And then he smiled.
Please rise in mind, body, or spirit. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Not only green in summer's heat, but also winter snow and sleet. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Oh, Christmas tree, of all the trees most lovely. Oh, Christmas tree, of all the trees most lovely. Each year you bring us with brightly shining Christmas light. Oh, Christmas tree, of all the trees most lovely. Oh, Christmas tree, we learn from all your beauty. Oh, Christmas tree, we learn from all your beauty. Your bright green leaves with festive cheer give hope and strength throughout the year. Oh, Christmas tree,
Do I get a special note? Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Walker. My pronouns are he and him. And I've stood here in times past and told you a story of my maternal grandfather, who we called Pa. But today, I want to tell you about my maternal grandmother. Both of my grandparents loved to come out from where they lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, to where my family lived in Indianapolis. Every year at Christmas, not every year, but most years, they'd come out for Christmas and they would stay for New Year's. So it was a very special holiday for them. Now, my maternal grandmother, who we called Mimi, as I understand it, my oldest cousin gave her that name. I don't know why. Her real name was Mary Louise, so maybe she had trouble saying that as a kid. In any case, Mimi was the sweetest, kindest little old lady you could ever hope to meet. She would sit down next to you, and whether she knew you or not, she'd strike up a conversation and would have a good old time. And she had a superpower. It was kind of annoying and useless, but she could literally stop a clock. Timepieces, wristwatches, and good old-fashioned wind-up clocks would eventually stop working around her if she was around them long enough. And the focus of our story today is one particular clock that stopped working in the years before she died and did not run for a very long time. But it looked nice, so she left it up on a shelf. When she died in 1998, we all inherited little mementos of our grandparents' lives, and this clock went to my youngest brother, Brian, who put it up on a shelf because it looked nice. On Christmas Eve of that year, the clock started to run. It ran long enough to chime the hour. I'm having a little trouble, sorry, remembering this, but basically, we thought of it as her spirit coming to wish us one final Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas, and say goodbye to us one last time. The clock never ran again. But she reminded us it was the most wonderful time of the year.
Please rise. One last time. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding and bring some right here. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
As we leave this sacred time that we have created together with our intention, our good energy, our good cheer, and our singing, let us go forth from this place knowing that you bring the light, knowing that your generosity and presence is important, knowing that miracles can happen across species, and knowing that together we make this season joyous. Go in peace, and let us go singing.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King. Good tidings for Christmas and a happy new year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy new year.